Module 3, Unit 5. Engaging in inquiry-based instruction and using the 5E model. A general arrangement of phases, steps, actions, or decision points for teaching and learning is known as an instructional model. Engaging in inquiry-based instruction and using the 5E model is an essential aspect of effective science education for elementary school students. Inquiry-based instruction is a method where students actively participate in the learning process by exploring and investigating scientific phenomena. This approach aligns with the natural curiosity of children and encourages them to develop a deeper understanding of scientific concepts through hands-on experiences and critical thinking. The inquiry models of instruction are beneficial because they mirror inquiry procedures of science while staying consistent with constructivist models of learning. They are also motivational and effective in teaching science to children. Inquiry-based instruction is characterized by several key practices. First, it involves students asking and attempting to answer scientific questions. This process begins with engagement, where students' interest is piqued through a thought-provoking question or phenomenon. The next step is exploration, where students investigate the question by collecting evidence through experiments, observations, and research. This hands-on phase allows students to directly interact with the material, fostering a deeper connection with the content. Following exploration is the explanation phase, where students analyze the evidence they have gathered and develop explanations for their findings. This phase is crucial as it helps students to articulate their understanding and solidify their knowledge by explaining concepts in their own words. Teachers play a significant role here by providing formal definitions and connecting students' experiences to broader scientific principles. Elaboration comes next, where students extend their understanding by applying what they have learned to new situations or problems. This phase encourages students to think critically and make connections between different concepts, thereby deepening their comprehension. Finally, the evaluation phase allows both students and teachers to assess understanding and learning outcomes through various forms of assessment, such as quizzes, projects, or discussions. The 5E model of science instruction, engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate, supports this inquiry-based approach by providing a structured framework that guides students through the learning process. Each phase of the 5E model has a distinct purpose and contributes to the overall effectiveness of science instruction. In the engagement phase, the teacher introduces a new concept or phenomenon that captures students' attention and stimulates their curiosity. For instance, presenting a mystery object or demonstrating an unusual scientific phenomenon can provoke questions and spark interest. This phase sets the stage for deeper exploration by making students eager to learn more. During the exploration phase, students participate in hands-on activities that allow them to investigate the concept or phenomenon introduced in the engagement phase. These activities are designed to help students gather evidence and develop their understanding through direct interaction with the material. For example, students might conduct experiments, make observations, or engage in collaborative investigations with their peers. The explanation phase follows, where students discuss their findings and begin to make sense of the evidence they have collected. This phase is critical for solidifying understanding as students articulate their ideas and connect their experiences to scientific concepts. Teachers facilitate this process by guiding discussions, asking probing questions, and providing formal explanations to help students refine their thinking. In the elaboration phase, students apply their new knowledge to different contexts or more complex situations. This phase encourages students to extend their learning and see the broader implications of what they have studied. For instance, students might design their own experiments, solve real-world problems, or explore related topics that build on their initial learning. Finally, the evaluation phase provides opportunities for both formative and summative assessment. Formative assessments, such as quizzes or reflective journals, help teachers gauge students' understanding throughout the learning process and provide feedback to support further learning. Summative assessments, such as projects or tests, evaluate students' overall mastery of the content and concepts covered in the unit. Research has shown that inquiry-based instruction is highly effective in fostering problem-solving skills, creativity, and independent learning. It improves students' reasoning, observation, and logical analysis abilities, and enhances their attitudes toward science. Additionally, inquiry-based instruction aligns with constructivist models of learning, where students actively construct their own understanding through interaction with the material and their peers. A typical 5E lesson might involve a sequence of student grouping patterns that facilitate different phases of learning. For example, a lesson might start with a whole group activity to engage students, followed by cooperative group work during the exploration phase, whole group work during the explanation phase, and then cooperative group discussions during the elaboration phase, ending with the individual evaluation phase. This varied approach helps cater to different learning styles and promotes a collaborative learning environment. During a guided discovery lesson, a teacher might introduce a problem, distribute materials in an orderly way, ask questions to guide students' exploration, and listen to students as they share their discoveries. This approach ensures that students remain focused and engaged, and it provides structure to the inquiry process while allowing for student autonomy and creativity. Overall, inquiry-based instruction and the 5E model are powerful tools for teaching science in elementary school. They engage students in meaningful learning experiences, promote critical thinking, and help students develop a deep understanding of scientific concepts. By incorporating these methods into their teaching, educators can create dynamic and effective science lessons that inspire a love of learning and scientific inquiry in their students. Unit 6. Effective Questioning. Effective questioning is a cornerstone of successful teaching and learning in the natural sciences curriculum for grades 1 to 6. The ability to ask the right questions at the right time can significantly enhance student understanding and engagement. This unit emphasizes the different types of questions, their appropriate usage, and the role of questioning in promoting deeper learning and scientific inquiry. Researchers who conducted a series of observations of science teachers' questioning behaviors found that effective questioning was relatively rare. Most teachers' questioning sessions monitored the learner's understanding of ideas and encouraged deep thinking, but they largely quizzed students on a series of knowledge-level, vocabulary-focused questions and emphasized knowing the right answer. Effective questioning requires teachers to move beyond just checking for factual recall and to probe students' conceptual understanding and reasoning. Questions can be classified in various ways, each serving a different purpose in the learning process. Productive questions stimulate thinking and discussion, while unproductive questions may lead to short, closed responses. Questions can also be person-centered, focusing on the student's personal experience, or subject-centered, focusing on the content itself. Equitable questions ensure all students have an opportunity to respond, whereas inequitable questions may favor certain students. Open-ended questions encourage expansive responses, fostering critical thinking and discussion, as they do not have a single correct answer. Closed-ended questions, on the other hand, typically require short, specific answers, often just a yes or no, and are used to assess factual recall or converge on a particular piece of information. Open-ended questions are particularly valuable in a science classroom as they encourage verbal development, enable multiple students to contribute, and trigger divergent thinking. These questions do not have a single correct answer, allowing students to explore various possibilities and express their ideas freely. Conversely, closed questions, which typically have one correct answer, can be useful for assessing students' factual recall and convergent thinking. However, closed questions should be used sparingly to avoid limiting student responses. When designing an investigation, such as finding out what kinds of food mealworms eat, subject-centered and open-ended questions are most appropriate. These questions direct students' focus on the scientific topic and encourage them to explore and investigate the problem deeply. For example, asking, "What are some things you noticed about the way the moon looked in the sky last night?" is an open-ended question that prompts students to observe and describe their experiences, fostering critical thinking and observational skills. Discussing differences in observations with numerical data reported by groups provides students with an opportunity to practice using mathematics and computational thinking, a key component of the Next Generation Science Standards, NGSS. This practice helps students develop their ability to make fresh observations and reason logically about their findings. Formative assessments embedded in lessons rely heavily on well-chosen questions. These assessments provide immediate feedback to both teachers and students about the learning process, allowing for adjustments and scaffolding as needed. For instance, a teacher might ask students to write one thing they learned and one question they still have in their science journals. Reading these entries helps the teacher determine the effectiveness of the activities and what students understand, serving as an example of formative assessment. Creating concept maps at the beginning of a unit, such as on the topic of electricity, serves as a diagnostic assessment. This activity helps the teacher gauge students' prior knowledge and misconceptions, providing a baseline for instruction. Similarly, using rubrics to evaluate students' sketches of mealworms' life cycles after months of observation is an example of summative assessment, which measures student learning at the end of an instructional period. Traditional assessments include essay items, multiple choice, short answer, and true-false items. Constructed response items, such as essays or short answer questions, require students to develop their own answers, demonstrating deeper understanding and the ability to articulate their thoughts. These items can be part of traditional assessments, along with multiple choice, true-false, and short answer items. Authentic assessment items, however, are more likely to be found in performance-based assessments that measure students' abilities to apply their knowledge in real-world contexts. In conclusion, effective questioning and assessment strategies are vital components of science instruction. They not only help in evaluating student learning, but also guide and enhance the teaching process. By using a variety of question types and integrating formative and summative assessments, teachers can create a dynamic and responsive learning environment that supports all students in developing a deep and lasting understanding of scientific concepts. Effective questioning promotes active engagement, critical thinking, and a deeper understanding of science, making it an essential skill for educators in the natural sciences curriculum for grades 1 to 6.